Hey, what's up everybody? Hammer Heart Metal Reviews here. It is that time of the year, my absolute favorite lists to make, my favorite video to make, my favorite albums of 2023. So as in past years, I am doing a top 50, which even just whittling it down to 50 was insanely hard. This was a great year for metal, so many awesome releases. I mean, there's going to be a lot of big name bands that didn't quite make my cut into this top 50. Like, there's just too many albums to mention. I don't want to do a top 100. So if one of your favorite albums isn't on my list, don't take it personally. There's still a good chance I might enjoy the album. I'm just making this the best of the best in my personal opinion, for my personal tastes. Like, for example, maybe spoiler alert, but some bands that will not be mentioned today are Cannibal Corpse, Cryptopsy, Marduk, Immortal. I enjoyed all of their albums, but I didn't think they quite made it into my top 50. But nonetheless, that's just because there's so many solid albums this year, and I really wanted to highlight the ones that I feel like I'm going to be going back to the most. Not to say there's not other good albums. I even own some albums from this year that aren't in my top 50, but that's just how it goes. It's a lot of fun putting these together. Definitely give me your picks down below. I'm splitting this into two. I'm going to do the first 25 today, number 50, down to number 26, and then you're going to get the top 25 on Friday, so you can look forward to that. I will say at the time that I'm doing this, I'm recording this early December, so there's probably going to be some December releases that maybe would have snuck their way onto here. I'm not including them because I just haven't listened to them or spent enough time with them yet, and I'm not really going to be recording too many videos throughout December, but maybe I'll do a video at the end of the month or early January talking about my favorite albums that were released in December that maybe would have come out on this list or would have made the cut if I would have heard them in time. So without further ado, we're going to get into this. As usual, if you watch my channel, you know that my favorite subgenre is black metal. So I'd say out of these 50, probably half of them are going to be black metal. Close to 25 of these 50 albums will be black metal. But there's still a good portion of like death metal, power metal, doom metal, traditional heavy metal. It was actually a great year for traditional heavy metal. So yeah, something for everyone here. I've been rambling enough. Let's get into this. Let's kick off this list. All right, drum roll. I don't have drums. Do it in your head. Whatever. Let's see what happens. Kicking it off, number 50, Alchemy of Flesh with their album By Will Alone. This is some one-man old-school death metal project from the USA. If you're looking for comparisons of similar sounds or other bands, I would say this is like Monstrosity meets Morbid Angel, like pure worship of those bands. It's that style, just full of catchy, memorable riffs, and I really dig this. This was a later release in the year, but it snuck its way onto the list because I've been spending a lot of time with it, and I think it's one of my favorite death metal albums of the year. Got my favorite tracks on here, Unmaker, Meteor Hammer, but really front to back, there's not a weak moment here. Crushing stuff. Just cracked my list. Awesome album you should check out. Up next in 49th, I am going with Eave and their album Fervor. So this is another band from the USA. This is a hard band to describe. It's like depressive, atmospheric black metal, post-black metal, kind of all melded together to make something uniquely their own. When I listen to this album, I get a major like Falls of Rauros vibe to it, kind of that same style, which I absolutely love. I love that band, so anything that kind of reminds me of that will probably be right in my wheelhouse. They really incorporate like those styles, like there's, yeah, some softer moments, some aggressive moments, and even like some progressive black metal elements in there as well. But then the vocals add a different layer because it's almost like a depressive black metal vocal approach, but he switches up the vocals as well throughout the album. And it's just really well done, complex songs. And yeah, I chatted with their vocalist and bassist online a bit, Brian Tennyson. He's just a really cool, nice guy as well. So definitely go check out Eve's Fervor album that was released this year. If I had to pick favorite songs, I'll go with Mirroring and Past Pulses, but really front to back, pretty solid album all around. Go check it out if you have not heard it. Up next in 48th, I'm going with None and their album Inevitable. So speaking of depressive black metal, this is some depressive atmospheric black metal from the USA, all anonymous members, so I don't know anything about who's behind this band. But yeah, this continues the trend of their previous efforts. It's just so sorrow-filled, and I'd say it's on par with their previous albums as well. They have a pretty solid discography. This is just drenched in sadness, and it just really captures these depressing emotions, and like, it's harrowing. It captures this spirit of like sadness perfectly. I'm running out of words to describe it here, but if you want a depressive album that maybe still has some uplifting moments, look no further than this. It's just really well done. Yeah, it's maybe gonna pull on your heartstrings and make you feel a little bit sad, but it's really well done. Awesome album in at number 48. Up next, I'm going with Primordial and their new album, How It Ends. Potentially their last album. A band that needs no introduction, from Ireland. If you are unfamiliar with them, they play a very unique style of metal. It's kind of blending like Celtic folk with doom, with black metal, and even some hints of traditional heavy metal in there as well. And this album is just really in the same like epic primordial style as their last few albums, their later year style, I guess you could say. Little nitpicks on this album. Maybe it's a little bit overlong, could probably be trimmed a little bit. I don't think this is their absolute best album, but if it is their last one, it's a fitting end to their discography. It's still great. I enjoy pretty much everything by this band. Favorite tracks here: Pilgrimage to the World's End, Plows to Rust, Swords to Dust, which is great. All in all, solid album. Go check it out. All right, up next, a band that I'm surprised that I'm putting this low on my list. This band has been a fixture in my top 10s pretty much every year, one of my all-time favorite bands, but this album didn't necessarily scratch the same itch as some of their past ones have for me, and that is Enslaved with their album Heimdal. So yeah, like I said, like this one just hasn't really resonated with me the same as my favorites in their discography, but nonetheless, it's not a bad album. They have no weak albums in their entire discography. This is on par with their later day stuff, more on the progressive side of things than like the old school black metal side of things, but it's still got some great tracks on here. I mean, this is a legendary band with one of the most legendary discographies ever, pretty much flawless. Favorite tracks: Forest Dweller, Behind the Mirror. So don't take it as a knock. I mean, they still made it to my top 50. These are all great albums. But yeah, I couldn't put it higher than this because there's just other albums that I'm finding myself enjoying a little bit more than this one. All right, up next in 45th, I'm going with Triumpher and their debut album, Storming the Walls. This is some Greek epic heavy metal, power metal, whatever you want to label it as. The vocalist here really shines, just absolutely amazing. He sounds a lot like Eric Adams from Manowar. And there's just a lot of variety from song to song here. It's not just one style throughout. It's got really a powerful energy, and it's just an epic journey that it will take you on from start to finish. Favorite tracks here: The Thunderer, Storming the Walls, but really, once again, front to back, just a solid release. Maybe a little more of an underground, unknown one. So if you have not heard this and you're into anything I just said, strongly suggest you go check this out. All right, up next, 44th, I'm going with Ruadh and their new album 1296. So this is some Scottish atmospheric black metal mixed with folk. Obviously the band they're going to get compared to the most is Seor. It's the same style. They're both from Scotland. I prefer Seor to Ruadh, but it's not a knock on Ruadh. This is still excellent material. Like, these tales just take you through Scottish history. It's a very well done, enjoyable album. You can get sucked into the atmosphere and the history. I really like the approach. I love this style of music, blending the folk and black metal. And yeah, it's a great album. That's why I have it on my list. Favorite tracks here: King of Scots is probably my favorite track on the album. Sack of Berwick is also amazing. All in all, solid album, solid band. Go check it out. All right, up next, let's switch it up a bit and go with Angra and the new album, Cycles of Pain. This is some progressive power metal from Brazil. When I say from Brazil, it of course features Fabio Leone of Rhapsody fame, or Rhapsody of Fire fame. So he's from Italy. The rest of the band is from Brazil. He's been in the band for the last few albums, and his performance here is really top notch. This is the best he's sounded in quite a while. Not that he's ever sounded bad, but I really enjoy his performance here. He shows off some different ranges and different styles, and he fits this band like a glove. It really works. This might be the best album of the Fabio Leone era in the band, and this has a little bit of everything. It's got ballads, it's got power metal like thrashers and speed metal songs, and it's got more progressive elements incorporating like world music. Like, all in all, it's a very varied album, and it's really well done. Favorite tracks: Generation Warriors, Ride Into the Storm. Really interesting, engaging album from start to finish, in the 43rd spot. All right, up next in 42nd, I'm going with Fen and their album Monuments to Absence. So this is some UK atmospheric black metal, brings in elements of like post-rock in spots. But when I say that, this album is definitely more on the aggressive black metal side. This is probably the angriest they have ever sounded, the most aggressive they've ever sounded. They've always had moments like this on other albums, but this one really all the way through is in-your-face, aggressive black metal, while it still incorporates in some of those post elements. But nonetheless, this is just killer stuff. My only knock on it is that maybe it's a little bit too long, kind of a theme on some later day Fen albums. Could use a little bit of trimming, but that being said, there's not a song on here that I don't enjoy. So maybe it's too long, but there's not a second that I don't like, so maybe it's good as it is. Favorite tracks here, Scouring Ignorance, Thrall, all the way through, solid album in 42nd. Up next in 41st, I'm going with Enforcer and their album Nostalgia. So this is a band from Sweden that's been around for a number of years now, plays a blend of like traditional heavy metal with speed metal, but then a healthy dose of like glam metal as well. And in their last couple albums, it's almost like really focusing on the glam part, almost bringing in like a pop sensibility to it, which is definitely not going to be for everyone with some of the ballads on here. But nonetheless, I found this album a nice return to form. I didn't really enjoy their previous album, Zenith, too much, while I really enjoyed their older stuff. But this one kind of has a mix of everything. Like, it's got the speedy, ripping songs as well, but then it's got these catchy glam style tracks and a couple ballads as well. It's just a ton of fun. I dig it. I don't like it as much as the earlier albums like Diamonds and Death by Fire. Like, come on, those are great albums. This one's maybe not quite on par with that, but nonetheless, it's a great return to form. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out if you haven't. All right, now we're into the top 40th. 10 down. Let's see what's up next. In 40th, I'm going with Blackbraid and their new album, Blackbraid 2. So this is some melodic, atmospheric black metal from the USA, all like Native American themes, and spirit of the album is all kind of centered around that. As I've mentioned with some other albums on here, my main nitpick here is that this is a little bit too long. This album could definitely be trimmed. These couple songs are too long, and the album as a whole is a little bit too long, throwing an unnecessary cover at the end. But all those negatives aside, this is just a lot of fun and enjoyable black metal. It's very cleanly produced, which is not going to be for everyone within the black metal realm of things. Sometimes a little dirtier sound suits it better, but the clean production suits this band, suits this project. All in all, I still really enjoy this album. It seems to get a lot of hate. I don't know why. I still think it's a pretty good album. Favorite tracks on here, Moss-Covered Bones on the Altar of the Moon, The Spirit Returns. All in all, very enjoyable black metal album in 40th place. Up next in 39th, I'm going with Dodheimsgard, the new album Black Medium Current. So this is a very hard band to describe. This is like avant-garde experimental black metal with a lot of experimentation going on. Like, this is off the beaten path stuff. Very strange but beautiful album. Like, this will just take you on a transcendental journey through time and space. It's just, you got to close your eyes and listen to this album as a whole. This is one where I'm not going to pick favorite songs, because I would never just go listen to one song off this album. It's either I'm going to listen to the whole thing or I'm not going to listen to it, because this is made to be listened to as a whole. It's just that type of music. You need to experience it with your eyes closed, headphones on, and nothing else going on, or go listen to it under the stars, and that'll probably be a different type of experience for you as well. Just really strange music, but it's really well done. One of the best out there in this unique style. I mean, really, it's their own style. No one really sounds like DHG other than themselves. But yeah, if anything I just said sounds like it might be up your alley, strongly suggest you go check this one out. All right, up next in 38th, I'm going with Sulphur Aeon and their new album, 7 Crowns and 7 Seals. So this is some German blackened death metal, very heavy on the atmospheres here, like Lovecraftian tales. And it's just crushingly heavy, yet it's catchy at the same time. Like, they bring in the dissonance that is very popular within this style of like black and death metal, and they really do their own thing with it. And it's hard to be catchy and crushing at the same time, but they have figured out how to do that. They bring in some clean vocals here and there, and all in all, really awesome album. It almost pained me to put this low on the list, but there's so many good albums. Ranking all 50 of these is fucking impossible, but yeah. If you haven't heard this, my favorite tracks are the title track, 7 Crowns and 7 Seals. Hammer from the Howling Void is awesome as well. All in all, solid album. These are all solid albums. Let's keep it going to another solid album. Blutos Nord, Disharmonium Nahab. So this is the second album in their, I'm guessing what's going to be a trilogy. They seem to always put out trilogies of albums. This is a French black metal band, but when I say black metal, there's a lot more to it than that. They have different kind of eras or just different styles from album to album. You'll get one album that's just like atmospheric black metal, one that's melodic black metal, then you'll get really avant-garde, strange stuff, you get industrial black metal. They really can tackle any style of music that they wish to, and it still always uniquely sounds like Blutos Nord. I don't know how they do it, but this album in particular is just swirling chaos, really a nightmarish atmosphere. This is very haunting. It's probably darker than the previous album, Undreamable Abysses. This one is probably not my favorite album by them. Well, it's definitely not my favorite album by them, but I don't even know if I like it as much as the previous one, but it's still excellent for what it is. Like, you gotta be in the right mood to listen to something this nightmarish and horror-filled, but it really, they execute it perfectly. Great album in 37. All right, let's switch it up completely. Up next in 36, let's go with Majesties and their debut album, Vast Reaches Unclaimed. So this is some melodic death metal from Minneapolis, but when I say from Minneapolis, this is really like a tribute to the Gothenburg sound. It's really got like early In Flames, early At the Gates style of music. I think that's why they formed this project, kind of as a tribute to that. This features members from Obsequiae and Inexorum, both excellent bands in their own right. So when I saw that members from those bands were getting together to do this project, I was extremely excited, and this one definitely did not disappoint. One of the best melodic death metal albums of the year. Favorite tracks here: The World Unseen, City of Nine Gates. Sorry, can't even read my own writing. I knew as soon as I started saying that that didn't sound right. But yeah, all in all, really excellent melodies throughout. It's got that old school melodic death metal style and vibe, and it's really well done. All right, into the top 35 now. Up next, I'm going with Thy Darkened Shade and their album Liber Lucifer 2 Marlo Praya. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that. It's completely wrong, but I'm going to put all of these album titles down below so you can go copy and paste them if you want to. So this is some Greek black metal. This is very like sophisticated and complex black metal. The song structures here are not just typical song structures. It's very interesting and unique vocals throughout as well. I would almost describe this as like Abigor meets Deathspell Omega, kind of in that style of unique and very like different styles of riffs. Like, this isn't just straightforward black metal, but yeah, really great stuff. Strongly suggest you go check this one out if you have not. Up next in 34th, a band I can never pronounce properly, Passeisme. I am sorry, I do not speak French. Their album Alternance. So when I say French, this is melodic black metal from Russia, actually, not from France, but it sounds French. Everything about it has like the French aesthetic, medieval black metal. If you didn't know they were from Russia, you for sure would think that they are from France. It's released on Antique Records, which is one of my favorite labels out there, easily. This would be for fans of bands like Vehemence, Yorlak, Peste Noire, anything in that style. I'm sure you will enjoy this. This is just frantic riffing. It's like hyperactive and just excellent. There's so many melodies that are just going to stick in your head. The previous album I really enjoyed as well, so very much in the same style, but the vocals kind of held it back a little bit. I feel like the vocals improved a little bit on this album. All in all, solid stuff. Go check them out if you have not. All right, sticking with black metal, up next, I'm going with Iravu and their album A Fate Worse Than Home. So this is some one-man atmospheric black metal from Malaysia. And this is more on the like cosmic atmospheric black metal style. Comparison to Mare Cognitum is inevitable here. It's got the same type of vibe. You can clearly tell that he's influenced by that project. Maybe this isn't quite as grand in scope as Mare Cognitum's material, but this is his debut. And for a debut, this is absolutely killer. The song Fear and Lead, it's got like a Chuck Schuldiner-esque riff at the beginning that's just fucking awesome. It just slays. It'll stick in your head, and then it builds into just a black metal explosion as well. The title track of Fate Worse Than Home is amazing as well. All in all, very solid, especially for a debut and especially for like a one-man band. Go check it out if you have not heard it. Up next in 32nd, I'm going with Panopticon and the new album, The Rime of Memory. So some atmospheric black metal mixed with folk. This is another one-man project, although he brings in some guest musicians as well. Austin Lund, the man behind the band. He is just a multi-instrumentalist and just masterful at what he does. His drumming is insane as usual. That's probably what he's most known for, is how good his drumming is. And this album is probably a little more harrowing and darker than previous efforts. It's so emotional, like it's painful, yet still uplifting at the same time. Somehow, I don't know how he does it, how he writes these songs, but really gets different emotions going. The use of strings throughout this album really adds these different layers of atmosphere and emotion, and it's just really well done. Haven't spent enough time with this to know where it's going to rank in my overall Panopticon ranking, or maybe I'll do a Panopticon discography ranking next year. I haven't done that yet, and with the new album, maybe it's time for me to do that. Favorite tracks here, An Autumn Storm, The Blue Against the White is amazing to close off the album. All in all, solid release in 32nd. Up next in 31st, I'm going with Marthe and the debut album Further in Evil. So this is one that actually went under my radar. I know, like I always do these monthly lists. This one I didn't even hear until someone in the comments mentioned it to me, and then I went and checked it out, and amazing. So that's why I really appreciate all your comments, because I probably would have never heard this if it wasn't for, I can't remember who gave me the comment, but you'll know who you are. Thank you, because this album kicks ass. This is a mixture of like just classic heavy metal, more on the doom side, with healthy dose of black metal as well, especially with the vocals. This is her debut. This is a one-woman project from Italy. Major Bathory influence going on here. Like, it's got black metal stylings with some of the riffs and these doomy passages, and the vocals are just really reminiscent of Quorthon here altogether. Not just the vocals, but everything. Like, some of the drum beats are clearly like that old school, like Manowar Bathory type of drum beat to the doomy Viking songs. And this just has a very do-it-yourself vibe that I love. Like, this is not the most technical or complex songs that I've ever heard, but I love the atmosphere and the spirit of it. It's just really awesome. Favorite tracks here, Further in Evil, I Ride Alone. Amazing stuff in 31st. All right, now we're into the top 30. I got 5 more albums here to talk about today, and let's see what it is. Cracking the top 30, Sorcerer with their new album, Reign of the Reaper. So this is some epic doom metal from Sweden. Epic is the key word here. Just amazing. The guitar work here really shines. Just insane solos. And then the vocals also really shine. That's probably what they're most known for. Just soaring vocals that you will be singing along to as loud as you can. You want to scream it from the rooftops, from the mountaintops. These songs are going to stick in your head. Really awesome stuff. One of the best doom albums of the year for sure. The title track, Reign of the Reaper, is great. Eternal Sleep. No weak moments this whole album. Goddamn amazing in 30th place. Up next in 29th, I'm going with Malokarpatan and the new album Vertumnus Caesar. So this band is from Slovakia. Another one that's really hard to describe because their sound is so unique. It's really a mixture of black metal and heavy metal. I would not call it like blackened heavy metal. I guess you could. I don't know. It really kind of features both of those different sounds combined equally. I would say this unique approach, it's like a mix of Merciful Fate and Motorhead, but then with black metal vocals and some folky flourishes. It's really their own sound. I don't know too many bands that sound like Malokarpatan. Like, they just do their own thing. Really interesting songwriting, and this is just truly enjoyable from start to finish. Awesome album. Easy choice for my list. All right, up next in 28th, I'm kind of cheating here. 2 albums, but it's from the same band, released on the same day. Ulthar with their albums Anthronomicon and Helionomicon. So, yeah, like I said, it's 2 albums, but they were released on the same day. Forever and ever, I will always think of these albums as one. Like, they came out at the same time. I will always... That's just how I think of them. So I'm not going to pick which one I like better. Usually when I listen to one, I'm going to listen to the other as well. That's just how it goes. But this is some USA blackened death metal. Another band that really has complex riffs and song structures. But this is heavy and unique, and it's just well done, and it keeps me coming back to it. Like, this one came out earlier in the year, and I'm still constantly returning to both of these albums. Just really killer stuff. Strongly recommend you go check it out if you have not. All right, we got 2 more albums to go before this first video is done. What is it gonna be? Up next in 27th, I'm going with Vertebra Atlantis and their album A Dialogue with the Eeriest Sublime. So this is a project from Italy. This is their sophomore album. This is some atmospheric blackened death, but when I say that, like, they really experiment with their sound here. I would almost consider this band without labels because of all the different places and directions that it goes. Features the guy from Cosmic Putrefaction, but I actually like this project a little bit more. There's so much variation from track to track here, and it is just draped in atmosphere. This whole album, oh, the keys that are added in there, yeah, it just adds an extra element to it. You've got like a crushing death metal song and then more of a black metal style riff, and then the keys just add this atmosphere to it, and then you listen to like the last song on the album, and it's just like clean singing and almost throws you for a loop, but it suits it. Like, it's just, it goes so many different directions. I feel like this is a step up from their already excellent debut. I can't wait to see what they do next. Really awesome stuff in 27. All right, one more album today to end the first 25. And then, like I said, you're going to get the top 25 coming out later this week. But before that, in 26th place, Horrendous with their album Ontological Mysterium. This is some progressive death metal from the USA. This is a band that clearly wears their influences on their sleeves. Like, you're going to hear later era death, you're going to hear Cynic, you're going to hear that type of experimentation. But it doesn't matter. Maybe it's not original, but the songwriting is very original. Like, the musicianship here is absolutely insane. Just crazy musicianship on display, whether it's the drums, the bass work, the guitars, absolutely nuts. Like, yeah, I don't care that it's not the most original thing ever and that they're inspired by other bands, because this is just unique songwriting, and this progressive death metal approach doesn't work for everyone, but it really works for Horrendous. That is for sure. The riffs and drumming, like I said, really top notch. The vocals are decent. That's like my one thing that holds this back from being as good as it could be. It's not that they're bad by any stretch. I still really enjoy it, but nonetheless, if I had to nitpick why this is only in 26 instead of higher, because it sounds like I'm heaping a lot of praise on it, that's my one nitpick. But nonetheless, solid album in 26th place. So that ends my first 25 picks. Like I said, you're going to get the top 25 on Friday this week, so you can look forward to that. You can try to guess what's going to be in my top 25. And like I said, I would love to get your choices down below. Let me know which albums are in your number 50 to 26. You don't have to give me a whole list. You can give me your top 10. You can wait till I do my video on Friday as well and give me your top picks then. But let me know what you thought of these. Let me know that you hate all my selections. I don't care. That's fine. These are just my personal opinions. You do not have to agree with them. These are just fun lists to make and fun videos to do. And I like sharing them with you. And I love getting your picks too. So until later this week, Hammerheart Metal Reviews, out.